Just, yeah, Anita ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Sundar ma'am. Namaste and good evening, everyone, to everyone, and our resource person, Dr. Srinivasan, sir. We're indeed happy and pleased to welcome each one of you for the 126th session of the Deccan Positive Mental Health Group webinar session. And the topic for today's session is self-esteem and mental health. I would like to thank the organizers, Manasa Shubhakara Mind Care Center, Hyderabad, Yellow Pond Counseling Center, India, Forest Creative Arts Studio, Punjab, Sri Deepthi Counseling Center, Hyderabad, Global Learning Center, Hyderabad, Shrisha Counseling Center, Kozhikode, Mindstyle Hub of Kolkata. Happy to introduce Dr. Srinivasan to all of you. Dr. Srinivasan, sir, is a consultant psychiatrist, medical director of Pioneer, and founding father of positive psychotherapy. A few words regarding sir. He's a highly respected consultant psychiatrist with an illustrious career spanning over 4 decades. Since 1992, Professor Srinivasan sir has been a consultant psychiatrist at the Kobai Medical Center and Hospital in Coimbatore. He also serves as the medical director of the Kasturba Gandhi De-Addiction Research and Rehabilitation Center, an NGO that has treated over 15,000 patients using innovative methods to increase abstinence rates. The center also runs a suicide prevention hotline to help thousands of people for more than over 20 years. With that very, very short introduction to you, sir, a very, very warm welcome to you and very, very happy to have you here. Thank you so much once again for being here, and over to you, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for that
Thank you, sir.
wonderful introduction. Um, Yesterday was the World Mental Health Day, and mental health at workplace. Let's prioritize the mental health at workplace was the theme. Sorry. So I chose self-esteem and mental health as the topic because I believe self-esteem is at the core of all mental health issues. If the self-esteem is good, the mental health issues can be managed comfortably. A lot of research has been conducted which says that people with high self-esteem, when they are exposed to stress, they are able to cope better. Whereas people with low self-esteem, when they are exposed to stress, they are not able to cope and they succumb to it. Same thing as far as depression is concerned, as far as social anxiety disorder is concerned. So almost all the what we call the common mental disorders, self-esteem plays a very, very important role. So I'll just ask you to all of you to mark. In fact, there'll be a lot of exercises towards the end. If you have a paper and pen or something you write and reflect, then it will really be useful because it was a part of the workshop that we did that I'm presenting here today. So as a starter, I just want to place yourself, your self-esteem on a scale of 0 to 100. Where do you stand? Just take a few moments to place your self-esteem on a scale of 0 to 100. So self-esteem is an opinion of our character and our abilities. That is what self-esteem is. So what are the components? Whether you are competent or not, then your identity, how you see yourself, and a sense of belonging, self-confidence, and feeling of security. All these things together. It's a complex entity. Self-esteem is not a unitary entity, but it is a complex entity, and it's formed by so many factors. One is your early upbringing, opinion of others when you're in a vulnerable age group, where you are not able to separate the facts from the opinions, and you take others' opinion as complete fact and you start accepting it and internalizing it, and that's how you form your self-esteem. Unfortunately, this does not change unless otherwise you work on it particularly. And as years grow, even when you achieve more, even when you understand that what other people said is not true, but the self-esteem does not change, and the self-esteem interferes with your performance, and there is a feedback loop that's formed. So That's why self-esteem is very, very important. So Rosenberg is the first person who talked about it, and that's why there is a scale named after him to identify self-esteem. So self-esteem plays a significant role in the overall healthy development, contributing to important life outcomes such as better social relationship, physical health, high academic success, good coping skills, and workplace success, everything. In fact, Brian Tracy is a person who says that your self-esteem determines everything about your life. Where you're going to settle, what kind of job you're going to have, what kind of friends you are going to have, what kind of goals you're going to set in your life, how comfortable are you in achieving your life. So everything in your life is determined by your self-esteem. So that's why whenever there is a chance, I always talk about self-esteem. In fact, uh, that Suresh Kumar Murugesan has designed about almost 50 different life skills. So when we discuss if we have to teach only one life skill, which one will it be? I said probably it's self-esteem because it improves resilience, it improves optimism, it also improves the satisfaction with self, everything probably boils down to self-esteem. That's why we always talk about self-esteem as an important aspect. So what are the benefits? You're authentic and you have a sense of purpose in life. And once your self-esteem is good, you have a very good clarity in decision making. There are some people who make decisions immediately. They don't take a lot of time in making decisions. And only the decisions they want to postpone, they just, or they don't want to make, but they're not sure whether they have to make or not. Only that will be delayed. Otherwise, there are a lot of people who are all the successful people. I will say that the very important core character of a successful person is quick decision making and also clarity in decision making. They may be going wrong in certain decisions, but they don't worry about it, but they make faster decisions and also clarity. And understanding value, and they have a good communication skill, they are comfortable, confident about themselves, and they have a drive to succeed because your self-esteem, you set a goal which is consistent with your self-esteem. So it's not your actual ability, but your self-esteem determines. In fact, recently I talked on the National Conference of Physiology. There again, the stress management was the topic, and then I just took questions and elaborated on that. And I said self-esteem determines. They were asking about postgraduate students committing suicide. And I said, there are thousand other people who are going through the same, but only few commit suicide because of the work stress. That means that other people are able to take on their stress comfortably. Why? That's because their self-esteem is low, they're easily affected by stress, and even small things they think that they are not able to do. So the drive to succeed is not there. Somewhere down the line, it's lost. So if you want a consistent drive to succeed and move forward in life, then your self-esteem has to be good, a healthy self-esteem. Then again, healthy relationships, being ready and willing to help others. In fact, there's another aspect to it. Only a person with a good self-esteem will be happy about other people succeeding. Otherwise, people with low self-esteem, they are jealous of other people's success. There are a lot of people who think that they're not having mental illness, but they are not mentally healthy also. And they keep complaining about people who are really successful and they try to drag them down and all that. That's because they don't have a good self-esteem. And also risk-taking and embracing new challenges, uncertainty, whether you are capable of accepting it or not. And as I said, resilience and acceptance. When things go wrong, yes, you have to accept and move on. If you get stuck, keep thinking about the past repeatedly, then you're losing the present moment and you're not able to move forward. As I said, having the drive to succeed and having a high motivation, they go hand in hand. So it also affects your mental health and physical health. and the ability to live life fully. Probably somewhere down the line, it also combines with mindfulness, self-compassion. In fact, there was another person recently I attended a workshop where I was talking about the root cause for anxiety is not anxiety, but it's shame and guilt because we have a very high standard on ourselves and we are not living up to it. And that's why there is shame and guilt, and that leads to anxiety. So, if you have to manage anxiety, you have to probably look deeper and work on the shame and guilt, which is through self-compassion and mindfulness. So all that come here because if you have to really live your life fully, enjoy every moment of it without being affected by it, then your self-esteem comes there. So one is inflated, then high self-esteem, which is we call healthy self-esteem and low self-esteem. So there are people who have inflated self-esteem. In fact, there is a point of view that people who are arrogant, who have inflated self-esteem, are people really with low self-esteem who try to overcompensate for their low self-esteem, and that's why their behaviors are like that. So they are hostile towards others, afraid of rejection and failure, arrogant, narcissistic, self centered. They don't, probably you can translate it to an aggressive behavior versus assertive behavior and passive behavior. Passive is the person with a low self esteem, aggressive is the person with inflated self esteem, and assertive behavior is the person with good high self esteem. So the benefits, as we saw, the high self-esteem, it leads to psychological resilience, high motivation and dedication, openness to corrective criticism. If you really give not a corrective criticism, probably we have to revert that as feedback. If you give a feedback to a person with high self-esteem, he should really thank you that you pointed out this mistake. It's good. I'll be correcting it. So I have to move on in life. Whereas a person with low self-esteem or inflated self-esteem, when you give him a feedback, definitely he will be fighting and most of the time arguing that it's not correct what you're saying. And in the end, he will believe that he's right and he will not take the feedback in a correct way. Then willingness to accept mistakes and incompetencies, because only with a good self-esteem you will be able to admit mistakes. Yes, I have this and I need to correct or I cannot correct, and these are all the things I have, and move on. And again, the conflict resolution in the workplace and in the family, everywhere, it comes as a very, very important aspect, how to solve conflicts. So conflict resolution by itself has become a very good, uh, very big topic. So whether there are two people with a high self-esteem, they will be able to solve their conflict in a peaceful manner. Whereas a person with very inflated self-esteem or a very low self-esteem is in the picture, then it will be difficult to solve conflicts in a peaceful way because the I comes before the problem. So that's where the issue. Then healthy self-love, as I said, self-love and self-compassion, it is expanded to that, and enhanced mental health, empathy, generosity, and leadership, all that are part of high self-esteem. So, what are the signs of low self-esteem? Feeling of inadequacy, self-doubt, incompetence, lack of confidence, worry constantly. They keep worrying about so many things. Then there is a fear of rejection. Because of all these things, they don't take risk, so there is no growth. They restrict within a very, very small circle, and within they don't come out of it. At the same time, they are jealous of people who expand their circles and keep moving forward. So they are not able to take up competitive challenges and they lack the initiative and they become dependent on other people. Sometimes it's very, very difficult to be friends with a person with low self-esteem because if you are a person with a good self-esteem, they will be highly dependent on you for everything. and they will take a lot of your time. And if they also become possessive about you, then it leads to a lot of other problems and lack of self-acceptance because they feel weak, they are inadequate. So there is lack of self-compassion and they criticize. Self-criticism is high for them. So self-esteem, as I said, is not a single entity. It's not a constant entity. There are people where they have a good self-esteem in one area, but in some other area they have a low self-esteem, or it may be like unstable over a period of time. And whenever there is a stress, then they may not be able to face it. So it's not that somebody with a good high self-esteem is always having a high self-esteem. So their self-esteem is again variable. This is one point all of us need to understand. It may be area specific self-esteem. In one area, I may be comfortable. In another area, I may not be comfortable. Also, at one time, I may be having a high self-esteem. At some other time, I may not be having a high self-esteem. So these are all the various aspects, and it keeps changing. And there is a trait and also global self-esteem, things like that. Codes will skip it. So, what are the factors that affect the self-esteem of the individual? Probably the physical appearance. Say, uh, there was one person who was referred to me because he wanted a particular procedure to lengthen his limbs because he is short and he is not able to play basketball or something like that. So, to that extent, people go and destroy themselves because that procedure is not indicated in that individual. Again, the skin color, the dark complexion is one of the aspects where I have come across a lot of individuals who, as children, were criticized compared with their other siblings or cousins, and that has left a lasting impression on them. So, then, of course, the identity, personality traits, and if you belong to a particular ideology. But what matters in the end is if you feel you are competent in some area, then you feel you have a very good self-esteem. And also you have a support group or a support network, friends or relatives, or the workplace where you have a sense of belonging, then it improves your self-esteem. Contrary, if you don't have a sense of belonging, you feel isolated, or you feel that you are differentially treated than other people, the in group and out group, all these things matter in building somebody's self-esteem and life experiences, how you take it and whether you are able to overcome that comfortably. And of course, the social status, and if you have a chronic illness or disability. And the culture also plays an important role, as I said, probably the height or ability to speak a particular language or other things. In certain cultures, it may not matter much, but in our culture, it matters a lot. So low self-esteem has direct consequences of personal and professional lives. Research links low self-esteem to negative stressful life experiences like adverse childhood events, trauma, grief, and poverty. All these things lead, as I said, a lasting scar on them, and it leads to low self-esteem. So this again we have looked at in another way, as I said, lack of initiative, over dependency, shyness, lack of self-acceptance, and we blame others for their shortcomings. As I said, there's a quick decision making and clarity in making decisions with high self-esteem. So they are indecisive, doubt a lot, and their aspirations are low because I can only do this, I cannot do beyond this. And also they have a fear of failure and negative social comparisons when they compare with others. Negative self-talk which keeps going on all the time in them, and also ignoring their achievements. Because, see, all of us have positive experiences as well as negative experiences in our lives. But there's a particular study which talks about people with depression, they're not able to recollect positive experiences in their life. They're able to recollect only negative experiences in their life. When their depression clears, yes, they are able to recollect even the positive experiences from the past. Like that, people with low self-esteem, they always store only the negative aspects of themselves, ignoring the positive aspects of themselves. And even for asking for help, that's why I said, if they become dependent on some people, then they will be over demanding on that person because they cannot go and ask for help individually. They will always depend on the other person. So this is the background that I said. What's the time now? Okay. So this will have a few experiences, and also if you can share your experience at the end. Probably in between, we may not be able to have like what we did in the workshop, but here I'll just go through the exercises and give some time for you to work on those exercises. And in the end, probably you can give a feedback on these exercises. So one is a self-esteem journal. The purpose of self-esteem journal is to foster positive reflection and increase self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-compassion. So we'll go through the steps. Reflect on your three greatest strengths and jot down specific examples of actions, behavior, or accomplishments that demonstrate them. What do you think are your greatest strengths? And what are the actions or behaviors, or what have you accomplished based on those strengths? All that. So I'll just give a minute for you to reflect on that. Three greatest strengths that you have. If you have a pen and paper, then you can jot down. So this is just a beginning that I wanted to work on. So focus and reflect on three greatest strengths and jot down specific examples of actions. Normally it might take even 5 minutes, but just make a hint of things. Almost like that, the three things we are grateful for, we always talk about from Martin Seligman's positive psychology. Here, list three things in your life that you are grateful for and provide details about why are you grateful about it and how they have helped you physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Three positive things.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
7 more minutes are there. Again, they can rejoin. Same link.
Region. Okay, right.
Yeah, friends. Again, you can rejoin when meeting ends. Thank you, sir.
Or should I finish within 7 minutes and then that will be too fast running through a
Yes, sir.
few
You
more.
please carry on, sir. Again, you
Okay,
can rejoin.
okay, right. So for want of time, I'm just giving a minute for you to just get some insight, get some experience of these things. Then again, so first you talked about your strengths and then you talked about your three things you are grateful for. Now we are going into make, dream about your perfect day, but make it somewhat realistic, not something very grandiose, what is totally out of your scope. Describe what you would do, who you would be with, and what it would feel like. So, some of just I want you to just go through the whole day in a minute, like 3 hours movie. We just do it in a teaser, 1 minute. Just think about your perfect day. Who are all the people with whom you will be spending it? Where and what would it feel like? What would you do? And all that. Because unless otherwise you get into the exercise, get the mood of it, and get some insights out of it, then it will be a mere information and it will be lost over a period of time. Okay. Then now reflect on a recent success and what says about your character. Think about something you have recently accomplished or a win that you have had. Then write about how this success demonstrates a positive quality or characteristic that you possess. Because all of us have almost everyday wins, but we don't focus on them or something bigger because we always think about even only great wins or wins. But there are everyday wins that we should focus on, like the gratitude exercise. We have to focus on the accomplishments or the wins we have had, like a complex case you solved, or something you did, something you have been postponing for a long time, something about it, which we have used, and somebody has thanked you for something. Sometimes we may not think it's a great thing, but the recipient might have thought that it's a great thing. So that way we can get into that. Then here comes the most important thing. Like self-esteem is not just about success, it also recognizes that some of our efforts, determination, dedication, and persistence are part of the process and great attributes to develop. Think of a recent challenge you were faced with and how you persisted despite the outcome. So it need not be always outcome based. Our self esteem need not be. I tried hard, but I couldn't succeed. That doesn't mean that your self esteem should be low. I tried hard, I did everything that I can do, and I faced the challenge. It was not an ordinary event, but I could almost make it, but due to some reason I couldn't make it. So the outcome is not important, it's the effort. Like they say, like even in goal in life, everything, it's not the destination, but the journey. That's very, very important. And you should be able to enjoy the journey itself. So what are the attributes that really helped you to face the challenge? Because as I said, risk taking, facing uncertainty, all are characteristic of people with high self-esteem. Whereas a person with low self-esteem won't even face a challenge, won't even accept something new. So here you have done something, taken up a challenge, and in spite of the outcome is not great, still you can feel good about yourself. Then here comes people who truly matter in your life. Think about the relationship you have with them and why it is meaningful. Write about how they have impacted you as well as you have affected them, because a relationship is a two-way process. So relationships that you cherish are like you impact them positively and they impact you positively. Like you're longing, it's almost like all these meaningful relationships are like being in love. So you always long to meet the person, long to talk to them, and the time you spend with them, it just flies and you enjoy the whole time. That's the way it should be if you reflect on people in your life who truly matter to you. So sometimes, of course, like the parents, other people may be sometimes critical in order to guide us, but still it may be meaningful and sometimes we walk our way through that. So fine on that. Then we move into the next step where you write about qualities that make you really unique. This is often harder than focusing on your strengths. So, what makes you unique? What's your uniqueness? Reflect on this and provide examples in what way you are unique. Your strengths are different, your achievements are different, but there is some unique characteristic of yourself. What is like always in marketing, they talk about USP, unique selling proposition. So there's something which is unique about our product. Like that, we should have some uniqueness. What's your uniqueness?